Pardon?
Thank you.
Yeah, greetings, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. As usual, we continue our reading and our study of our philosophy and ideology, which is consciousness. We will continue from where we left in last week, and we'll be having the reading by Brother Horace before we go to or open up the conversation for members to share their thinking. So, Brother Horace, please come in.
Okay, thank you. I'll start reading. It might seem that a philosophical position which accepts a duality of
Brother Horace, slow
yes,
down, slow down, slow down, slow down. Read slowly for us, yeah?
okay, cool, I
Okay. It's
understand.
not a reading club where you can read fast. Yeah, you read slowly so that we can follow as you read and then we take it in, yeah? And then by the time you finish
Yeah,
reading, we have some kind of idea what you've read, and then we can start sharing our thinking. Thank you.
sure. It might seem that a philosophical position which accepts a duality of the Cartesian type cannot comfortably treat all the actions of animals as purely mechanical. For this kind of duality, there should ensue a nagging doubt. The doubt whether spirit as a category should not really be excised with Occam's razor. According to Occam's razor, entities should not be multiplied without logical need. But according to Cartesian duality, there are two irreducible types of substance. There is spiritual substance, which is purely active, thinks, and is non-extended. Then there is matter, which is purely extended and is inert in the philosopher's sense. Now, a great many of the actions of animals are, as outward marks, quite similar to those of men. It is therefore a kind of special pleading to hold that these actions are spirit produced in the case and not in the other. Especially since Descartes make an issue of existence of minds other than his own and God's. I think I'm done reading the first time.
Thank you, Brother Horace. Brother Kwame, over to you.
You don't want to share?
No, I can share.
Yeah, go on. Yeah, check for us. Thank you.
Okay, so let's get the second reading of this paragraph with any of member in the house. Do you have any sister who can do the second reading?
Please, can we find out what irreducible types of substance is? Irreducible?
Sister Ida, I'm requesting for a second reading. We'll go to definitions after second reading. Is that okay?
Okay. Thank you.
Anybody who can do the second reading for us?
Yeah, I'm happy to do that if nobody is available.
Yeah. Please, Brother Kwame, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. It might seem let me start again. It might seem that a philosophical position which accepts a duality of the Cartesian type cannot comfortably treat all the actions of animals as purely mechanical. For this kind of duality, there should ensue a nagging doubt. The doubt whether spirit as a category should not really be excised with Occam's razor. According to Occam's razor, entities should not be multiplied without logical need. But according to Cartesian duality, there are two irreducible types of substance. What are they? There is spiritual substance, which is purely active things and is non-extended. Second one, then there is matter, which is purely extended and is inert in the philosopher's sense. Now, a great many of the actions of animals are, as outward marks, quite similar to those of men. It is therefore a kind of special pleading to hold that these actions are spirit produced in one case and not in the other, especially since Descartes makes an issue of the existence of minds other than his own and God's.
Thank you, Brother Kwame. Thank you, Brother Kwame, for the second reading. Now, I think it's very interesting, the duality, the confusion here. But let's first of all start with the definition of terms. Are there terms that we may need to define? Sister Ida, please come in now with the term you had requested before. Sister Ida?
I think that irreducible types, which is what I asked, means that they can't be simplified any further. But I just wanted to because when Brother Kwame read it again, it went on to tell us what the two types were. So I presume that the two types can't be broken down into anything simpler.
Yes.
I was wondering if somebody could make a comment on that. Thank you.
Sister Ida. Yes, I think you've got it.
Okay.
Got it. So the two are spirit and matter. Yeah.
Thank you.
Mind and matter, if you like. Yeah.
Thank you, Sister Ida and Brother Kwame. Any other term that we may need to define? Maybe the word Occam's razor.
Yeah. So Occam's razor. This guy Occam, I think he was at least we know he was a writer or a philosopher, and his view was that if you are explaining something, explain it as simply as you can. Yeah, you don't need to complicate explanation. I mean, essentially, that is what it means. So if you take the example of actions, yeah, why are we saying that when it comes to animals, yeah, the explanation is mechanical, as Descartes said. But whenever it comes to humans, you say it's spirit. Yeah. So we are using spirit in one, for humans, and then you are using mechanical, as if they are machines in the other one. Yeah. So this razor is saying that, do we really need these two to explain motion? Do we really need these two? When animals are in motion, or when humans are in motion, can't we just use one thing to explain it? Yeah, I mean, that's essentially what he's saying here. I hope that helps.
So there's a comparison between the Occam's razor and Cartesian duality.
Say again.
So the comparison here is between the use of Occam's razor and the Cartesian duality.
And the what duality?
Cartesian duality.
Oh, the Cartesian, yes. So remember Descartes, when we looked at it last week, I think when we went around, but you remember everybody I think disagreed with him, from what I can remember, that he was wrong. Yeah. So in a way, what we are reading is confirming that. So the answer is yes. So why do we explain? Why does he explain? In fact, I think one of us raised the question, how come that he's saying that, okay, how does he know that animals don't have souls? How does he know that? Yeah. You see, how does he know that just because animals don't have language, that when they act, they don't act intentional, they don't act like humans? Yeah. And I think Sister Portia raised a question. Do we know the language of, I think Sister Portia, do we know the language? Is it the language of birds or something? Sister Portia raised last week?
That's right.
Sister Portia, remind us. Huh?
Yes, Brother Kwame.
Yeah, you raised a question about the language.
Pardon me. Yes, Brother Kwame, you're right. Do we speak their language is what I said.
Yeah, but I want to recall the thing you were referring to. Was it vegetables or animals? Anyway. Yes, brother Pigeon, back to you. Thanks.
Okay, thank you, Brother Kwame. Now, is there any word that we may need to define? I'm trying to look around. So the Occam's razor and the Cartesian duality. Then, no, I think we're okay. Unless somebody sees something that they need to raise so that we define first. So if we are okay, I would like us to go around and hear what others think on this. Brother Kwame, today I allow you to maybe to come later so that I give you opportunity to also hear what others think.
Entirely up to you, sir.
Let me start by Brother Philip. Brother Philip, I hope you got the reading in advance. And welcome, brother. Are you able to share your thinking on this?
Yeah, thank you. Good evening.
Good evening, brother. Good evening.
Yeah, I think Brother Kwame has already explained what the reading is all about. I see the Europeans as class conscious, and with them at the top always the middle-aged male, and the necessity to put others, including animals, below them. They just seem to make those kinds of funny assumptions. And we can see that in this reading here, where he wrongly assumes that, he attributes the actions of animals to mechanical behavior. And those same actions that humans undertake, he attributes it to spirit, And Nkrumah is pointing out that this doesn't make sense. If you look closely at the animal kingdom, of course, they cannot fly to the moon. They haven't developed a rocket to fly to the moon or computers, but the similarities are quite interesting. If you look at the lions, when the mother is going to give birth, she doesn't do it in public. Same for humans. She goes into a God's the Almighty's maternity or lion's maternity in private. And then we have some customs in Africa where you show the children to their family, a ceremony. That's exactly what the lions do. When she deems it fit, she brings them in. In Ga, the Ga one is called Pujemo. The others have different names for it. The lions go to school. They learn geography. Lions learn geography. Lions learn biology. Lions learn psychology. Lions learn teamwork. They are taught by their mothers and sometimes their fathers. And so we can see similarities between human behavior and animal behavior. If the lion doesn't learn geography to understand the landscape, there's no way it will know where to hide and catch the prey. They learn geography. They learn psychology because they have one of the group who is a chaser, who will create fear and panic amongst the prey. They know this. They learn biology because they know that if they squeeze the neck of the prey will die. Who taught them? They learn all these things, just as we go to school. And they take examinations. In the case of the other animals, cat family, big cat family, for example, the cheetah. The school is graded from class to class. The first, same for the lion, the first class is observation. After bringing them out from their hiding place, they will hide there for some weeks. After some time, they will come to observe how the mother catches prey, observation. The second stage now is where the mother will catch a small, small antelope or something. She'll not kill it. She'll just catch it, bring it, and allow them to try their hands at killing it to eat. And she'll fold her arms, as it were. She'll cross her legs. She will not move a finger, a foot. Just watch them. The moment, and they'll struggle, and the third stage is where they have to hunt on their own. The moment the children are able to hunt on their own, kill and feed themselves, they are past the exam, just like in the human world. And so the idea that, they are so different from us. I think last week we mentioned the question of elephants mourning or some other animals. Elephants mourn, dogs mourn, the lions mourn when the similarities, why should they be so different? They are different because one group of people is obsessed with classifying humans and animals hierarchically with them at the top. I think it was Sunday Guru or somebody like that who said, well, a grasshopper, is created by whoever created it, however you want to call the creator. I think that if you look in nature, you just have to, especially if you're an engineer, you just have to admit that there's a greater intelligence, however you want to call this greater intelligence or intelligences, And so why that obsession with classification? And it's not just classification, but classify others below you. And it has failed here. It has failed totally, woefully. We are saying on the one hand that human behavior is determined by spirit thinking. And you are saying on the other hand that animal behavior, and who says humans are not animals? They are social animals. And so Nkrumah just simply uses their own philosophy and their philosophers to say that, to show that the thinking is wrong. And that is the danger sometimes with human beings, that one person makes a pronouncement, everybody follows. But luckily in this case, we have Nkrumah to offer an opposing view. That the animal, if you are going to say that humans are motivated by spirit, and animals are motivated by mechanical instincts, just instinct. I mean, they think, they really think, we know this. And sometimes I wonder who qualifies to be a philosopher, because you are trying to make a comment on nature. Are you an expert? I thank you. Are you an expert in nature? Obviously, Descartes was not. Obviously. I mean, and why are they heroizing, as it were, these sort of people with no, I mean, you're not an expert in nature. You're making strange pronouncements. I wonder why Nkrumah sometimes wasted his time with some of these people. And so he says that, well, if he brings in Occam's razor just to say that, well, why not just reduce everything to mechanical then, in both cases, both humans. And the problem here is to that sharp distinction between humans and animals, which is unnecessary, And so basically, Nkrumah is saying that they are talking anti-sense, and not making any sense. That's the sense which I get.
Chair, if I may just add something to what Brother Philip has said. Philip, Oshe. Yeah. So I think the question Philip asked is a legitimate question. Why would Nkrumah waste his time on Descartes? I don't know if we all know, but René Descartes is one of the leading rational philosophers. In the terms of Western philosophy and mathematics, he is the leading, in the same way as Thales was the leading materialist philosopher. Descartes is, if you like, at the top. Remember, he is the one that created the grid, what we call the Cartesian grid, which underlies all mathematics and therefore computers today. Well, some of you may not know what I mean by the Cartesian grid. I mean the graph, what we call the graph, where you draw two lines and then you put 0 in the middle, and then you write 1, 2, 3, 4 to the right, and then to the top you write 1, and then negative down, and then negative to the left. That grid, yeah, is a grid that was used to cartograph the entire planet, to say Africa is here, America is there, etc., etc. It is what is used to, if you like, it is what defines space. So I'm just trying to say that sometimes, you see, human beings like to think sometimes that what we are thinking is original. Yeah, we sometimes think, oh, what I'm thinking is original. And then it might turn out that what you are thinking is something that some dead philosopher, yeah, or ancestor, if you like, has thought through already. Yeah. So that what you are saying is not that original. And in fact, sometimes you may think that you are making great sense when actually you are not. So I'm saying this to say that the domination of Africa via neocolonialism, yeah, we need to understand where it's coming from. I think that's the point I'm trying to make. We need to understand where that domination is coming from philosophically. And Descartes is one of the philosophers that has laid the groundwork for the modern nonsense that we live in. Yeah. Back to you, Chair. Thanks.
Thank you, Brother Kwame. Brother Ifo, do you want to come in on the same, or do you want to share your thinking, Brother Ifo?
On the same. The so-called Greek philosophers and scientists were plagiarized in their recognition, because most of them went to school in Africa and they were basically repeating the things that they were taught in Africa, although many of them did what they were taught. So I put my hand up mainly to remind that Greek ideas are actually not Greek. They are stolen from Africa and misunderstood. And we had maps and cartographers before the Greeks. So let's remember that. Other than that, I agree with all the analysis that's been shared so far. Thank you.
Thank you, Brother Ifo, for raising that. Let me go to Sister Portia. Oh, Brother Philip, come back first. If maybe you want to come back again.
Yeah, thank you for the other contributions. I think there's a danger in humanity where a great person can feel great all around. When I was in school, I noticed a difference between, because I interacted with a lot of lecturers all over the world. I noticed that the lecturers in Ghana or in parts of Africa, they had expertise in one area, and somehow they began to feel that they had expertise everywhere. But there was a distinct difference in other parts of the world where a world-class expert in a particular field will say to you, this is not my area, consult the next person. Yeah. And I think there's a danger in humanity that when someone is very good in one area, that greatness is falsely extended into other areas. And that's very dangerous, very, very dangerous. This philosophy that we are reading here, there's no iota of greatness in Descartes' philosophy that we are reading here. I mean, it is it is so false. It is unbelievable, And so he might have contributed in certain areas, but that doesn't necessarily make him. And even if he was a great philosopher, what we are reading, this particular text that we are reading, is a serious error.
But you see, that is the point, Philip. That is the point. Mm-hmm. So then you see where the error of neocolonialism is coming from. Okay. So now we can see, this is where, so when later on his successors come to Africa, and then they say, these people are animals, therefore they are not humans. And they did say that, didn't they? They did say that yes. So now we can see where that is coming from. So now if you want to challenge it, you can then make the argument you are making, Brother Philip, and say, actually, you guys are wrong. The philosopher on whom you are depending and defending your domination is actually false. And this is why it's false. You see, so then you have a philosophical basis to contend with the enemy. Otherwise, it becomes all emotional and incoherent. And then you find that for those who are the curators or the guardians of this kind of thinking, we need to get through to them, you see. And so Nkrumah is providing for us the tools that we need. And the argument is this. If you are going to lead Africa, if you're going to lead Africa against an enemy, you need to know your enemy. You need to know how your enemy is thinking, etc., etc., etc. I hope that makes sense, brother.
Yes, he's using their own language to confound them, I think is what you're saying.
Precisely. And therefore, handing us back the tool as Africans. You see? And so he is clearing the ground to give us the tools for which we must fight. Look, and you see, for those of us who live abroad, we take certain things for granted. Yeah? We take, and we don't realize it. Look, a black man who has never traveled in Africa does not know he's black. He will only know he's black when he leaves Africa, goes to Germany and lives in Germany, goes to England, lives in England, goes to Canada. That is where you know that you are a black man. But when you're on the continent, you don't know you know you are black, but you don't know you are really black. So some we take these things for granted, you see, and then we think everyone is sharing our perspective, and it's not that at all. If you talk about colorism, and all that it meant in terms of racism, in terms of geography, even in South Africa, where you remember the law separated where white people live, where the Indians should live, where the colored people should live, but the law. You see, so then you can see where these if you like, false notions are coming from. And sometimes I'm saying, sometimes we take it for granted. You see? Yeah. Anyway, thank you.
Okay, can I maybe if I allow go to another sister? Brother Philip, you can come back any other time later, but let me go to the next speaker if that's okay.
Yeah, Brother Chair. I was going to say that it looks like Brother Philip has really read the text and did a lot of work on the text. Anyway, thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Brother Philip. I think that's in order. The fact that somebody get the text in advance and engage it earlier or prior to our meeting. So, Sister Portia, please go ahead.
Okay, greetings, everyone. Thank you so much for the King brother to reference what I was saying last week. It's important. I was saying before, sometimes in this racial capitalist system, sisters can say something and it be ignored, and then the man can come and say the same thing the sister said, and then it be applauded. So I just want to shout out those brothers who reference the points that I made last week, which are applicable to this day's discussion. So now to my initial thinking. There are two paragraphs. The first paragraph, sentence 1, basically is an either or purview that cannot prove animals are just for function perceived. And then the second sentence, I have a question mark. The third sentence goes on to say only a need determines a speciality or uniqueness. And I'll come back to this point in my additional thinking. Paragraph 2, sentence 1 says, here again, it talks about the either or thinking. As I was saying last week, one of the persons can kindly mute, please. As I was saying last week, it can only be this or it can only be that. Always less than 5. And then the second sentence, it goes on to talk about what is called or referred to as a spiritual substance. The third sentence then goes into what is said to be a non-spiritual substance. And then the fourth sentence goes, here shows a linkage actually to additional beings. When you look at it, there actually is a linkage to additional beings that have been called animals. And then the fifth sentence says, it appears that out of order that those are not connected with the persons who are saying the philosophy. So those additional beings, sometimes referred to as animals, it purports they have nothing to do with the philosophers, when in fact they are very much connected, as the King brother has said, and as I have said last week and many occasions. Now to my additional thinking. The presentation I gave on racial capitalism, and I keep going on, is because the uniqueness and not a good way of racial capitalism is it was the first time from the 15th century to date where you have a system that is on a perceived race. And that keeps the insidiousness or the horridness of racial capitalists going. So, of course, to the point earlier, someone coming over Ghana thinking, hey, America is the great land of opportunity, wouldn't dare think that they couldn't get the American dream until they get to America, United States of America. And then they see, actually, your place, my place is not in the system to be in the hierarchy that the King brother Philip just mentioned. If anything, if you would even be near the hierarchy, it is only to be subservient. And you see this through all of the films. You see this arguably in some of how we even date who we think is attractive, who we think is smart, to Brother Kwame's colorism point. So I take a different pure view. I think we know enough about our enemies. I think we got to know ourselves again. We know our enemy. If you look into the context of the United States of America, for example, when our ancestors were here, they knew very well what was going on. They were in the households. They were making the food. They were making sure that the land was managed properly. So no, I think maybe what we have missed is how dangerous racial capitalist systems is. It cannot be reformed. And an exact example is when former United States of America Vice President Kamala Devi Harris ran for vice president. One, all of a sudden, in my opinion, she became Black. And why I, to this day, cannot even associate with the vice president is because she said that she cooks collard greens in the bathtub. And if you know anything about Black people in the United States of America, there is no Black person who would even dare cook collard greens in the bathtub. But leave that out. In my opinion, now she's become Black. And when she becomes Black, now all of a sudden, we can finally have a Black woman in the United States of America White House. And this is going to change so much. But what really came to be? What really came to be is that we saw that, in my contention, the Republicans and the Democrats of the United States of America political parties, still only majorly two, not just the case in Africa, in North America, still only largely two major parties, even in Canada. And then we saw that it was just to fuel the systems that keep perpetuating the same systems that when that Ghanaian comes to the USA, realizes, oh, this is not an American dream that I can be a part of. So we know our oppressors very well. I contend we have to know ourselves again. And so I will continue to say, returning to our ancestral ways and not going into that illusion that we can reform oppressors. There are case studies of how much rape was done in these places where they enslaved our ancestors. And I'm not talking about just men. I'm not just talking about just women, as if that would be something to excuse, which I do not. But we're talking rape of children. And to date, when it comes to the subject of reparations, not that it could be a discussion, for some reason, Africanist diaspora still can't get countries in Europe, countries in North America, countries in Australia, even though it's only one in Australia, to say you don't have a choice, pay up. This tells me that no, we get out of the systems and we get to know ourselves again and secure ourselves and implement what we already know we need to do. I yield.
Thank you, Sister Tapua. Brother Menzi, you're next. Please come in. Brother Menzi.
Brother Pigeon is Sister Portia, not Sister Tapua.
I'm making that mistake again this week.
I know, I also do sometimes.
Brother Green Ark, please come in.
Greetings, brothers and sisters. I am just agreeing. I can't really speak a lot at the moment. I'm following the conversation very deeply, and I am resonating so much with what the Empress just said right now about self-knowledge is very, very key. I don't cancel out the knowledge of the enemy, because the enemy is like an amoeba. The enemy of Black people and the enemy of African people, for those who prefer that term. The enemy of Abantu is always changing and improving its tactics. So it's important to keep up, especially in this age of cybernetics and AI and all those things. But we know that if we know ourselves really well, even AI cannot defeat us, even nuclear powers. Nothing can defeat us. We've been through the Middle Passage. We've been through all kinds of enslavement. So knowledge of ourselves, for me, it is akin to God knowledge. It's a knowledge of higher power, and I don't mean God in a religious sense. I really mean it in a different sense. So I'm very grateful to just sit and listen, and I like what was said about Nkrumah's understanding of Descartes. Descartes, I don't know how to pronounce this French thing, but and that Nkrumah was able to tackle some of the greatest minds in Europe and use this as a tool for us, as a resource for us to be able to navigate and challenge lies about ourselves and challenge the subjection of Africa to all these things that we've been subjected to and is still going on. So really and truly, it's very difficult to look further than Nkrumah. I know there are many great minds in Africa in the past, present, and even in the future. But we are really, really blessed to be able to intimately engage with Nkrumah in the way that we are doing. I know that in the future also, we might even go and get into people such as I'm about to close my statement, we're going to get perhaps to people such as Walter Rodney and dig deeper into how Walter Rodney connects to Nkrumah and to ourselves and to the situations that we are facing today. And Walter Rodney was also, just like Nkrumah, engaging deeply with Cartesian duality. He was engaging with the philosophers of the West in a very intellectual, high caliber intellectual way. But at the same time, even though, I mean, Rodney and Nkrumah and some of these elders were Marxists, they approached Marxism very much as Africans. They approached scientific socialism very much with an African, with a distinctly African context, which helps us to not try and reinvent the wheel in any way, but just engage with their work in a way that helps us to navigate and achieve our victories in this time. So thank you, brethren and sisters, for this. I yield.
Thank you for that, Brother Green Ark. Oh, is this Brother Menzi or who?
Yeah, it's Brother
Green
Menzi.
Ank is myself. Sorry, Green Ank is the name of my company. I've changed this so many times, but it doesn't change. I've always changed it to Menzi, but it just stays. I opened it as Green Ank. Green Ank is the name of my company. Thank you.
Thank you, Brother Menzi.
Sorry, so your name is Menzi, but Green Ark is your company. Is that
yes,
correct?
Sir.
Okay.
Yes, comrade. My name is Menzi Gakudu Maseko.
Okay.
I'm Swati Zulu. I'm a Zulu Swati person from Southern Africa. Yes, Green Ank is
so
yeah.
Just so you know, I have changed the name for you.
Thank you. Give thanks. I wonder if it's gonna stay that way.
Okay, thank you. Let's go to Sister Tapo. Sister Tapo, please come in.
Hello, everyone. I'm going to ask to pass for now. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Sister Ida, please come in.
Oh dear. Well, I like what everybody has said, and if I can find where I can actually grab hold of in the passage, I would try to talk more about it. I'm a bit stuck with the fact that Descartes makes an issue of the existence of minds other than his own and God's, and God's, which I presume is the one God rather than and God's. But I also like so I find that I'm not quite sure that I know enough of what Descartes is really saying. Whether he's saying that it's only his mind, the existence of minds other than his, whether he's saying that it's only his mind that should really be taken into account and not other minds. And then I had a bit of an issue with Cartesian duality, because I was thinking Cartesian, are we saying in accordance to white duality? Is that word Cartesian meant to say that we're talking of, I know there's only one race, different.
Yeah, so Sis Ida, so if you apply Cartesian duality from the colonial perspective, yeah, then it would say that the reason that we are dominating you is because we have a mind that is unlike yours. And what is your mind? Your mind, in fact, you don't have a mind because you're animals. Animals don't have minds.
Oh, okay, but I gathered it might be that, but then I wanted to make sure I knew exactly what the word Cartesian was, because we hear it every so often. And so I was wondering if we could exchange that word for white duality.
Yes, you
Exchange.
can. Yeah, you can.
Okay.
Yes,
So,
yes, I agree.
yeah.
Exactly.
So I feel that I would have liked to have put Cartesian stroke white duality, so that I knew exactly what was being said, because I think Cartesian hides behind who exactly are we talking about? Anyway, that was just one of the things that I was thinking, and then
so Sister Ida, so the reason is Cartesian is just because he invented it in
who
that
invented
sense.
it?
The man called Descartes. So Cartesian basically means Descartes.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. So then we can say that also that Descartes is particularly white.
Yes.
Sister Portia would say, oh, now what would Sister Portia say? Something about Sister Portia has a phrase that is always, it's about almost about what did she call them?
Well, she's here. She can help. She can remind you. Sister Portia, what do you call them?
Every week, and all the things that I hear you say, but I can't quite remember the word.
I said, Sister Ida, I think in greetings, I said white appearing.
No, there's another one you say, which makes it that, it's, I think you use it in economics a lot.
Or maybe it's racist capitalism. Is that the one?
Yeah, something about capital. Yeah, racial capitalism.
That's it. Racist capitalism.
So I think that I think that this is a different form of racist capitalism, but it is distinctly racist. But of course, nobody was going to say that at the time of Nkrumah was writing, because he's not as likely to be calling all those white people racist, which of course we now can happily use that word. And I think that this paragraph sort of particularly shows out racism. In my opinion.
So if I may add to what you just said, you see, for those of us who read economics, even in university, I can tell you, they never taught us racist capitalism. I'm telling you, they never taught us that. They never did. So when writers like the one Sister Portia is bringing to our attention, that is, when Sister Portia first did that presentation, I said it was seminal for us, because what it means is that we can now go forward and use that terminology. Instead of just saying capitalism, we can say racist capitalism, because that is what it is, you see. Yes,
I think that this is I don't know that it's necessarily, it might be have still the racial capitalism, but there's something racial about even the philosophy. So maybe it's racial philosophy that we are talking about in this paragraph. I'm not, I do think that it shows a lot of racism, and it should be called out as such. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Sister Ida. Let's go to Brother Horace. Please come in. You did the reading. Are you able to share your thinking? Brother Horace?
Okay, thank you. According to how I've been grasping the presentation, I think there's something I'm getting because I understand Occam's razor as a philosophy that kind of proposes to like kind of when you're faced with options, you take the option, you choose the option in the most like the fewest assumptions. So like in this case, whereby I'm seeing that Kuruma used the example of animals, and then he said like for instance, when you say that someone can decide to say that animals they don't have a spirit, mainly because saying so.
No, hold on. Brother Horace, it's not Nkrumah that is saying that. It is Descartes that is saying that. So he's using that Descartes' argument against him. Yeah. So it's Descartes that is saying that. Okay.
Okay, now I'm trying to get it.
All right.
So according to Occam says that like you can assume that the animals don't have spirit, but when you come to Descartes, it means like you can view the matter in different dimensions, whereby let's say now the animals they kind of have the spirits. So I'm getting the line of thinking. Let's say, for instance, when we apply it to the reality, using the two philosophies to wade it with the realities that are being faced by the Africans, whether in social conditions or economic conditions. And I think now I'm stuck between now the two because I'm not getting what Nkrumah is proposing because he's contrasting two philosophies, two philosophical thoughts, but I'm not getting like what he prescribes as to like a way to think. He's not saying like use
Okay.
this.
Yeah. So yeah. But Horace, that's excellent. You've hit the nail on the head. So in the next paragraph, we will see why he said what he said. Well done. You've picked up. So he's if you like clearing the ground for what you've just asked. So what is he telling us? Yeah, does that make sense for us?
Yeah, it's making sense.
Aha, excellent.
Yeah, actually, it's awesome, and that's all my contribution. I'm still running. I'm very glad.
Yeah, that's good.
Okay. Thank you.
That is a sharp young mind there.
Thank you for that, Brother Kwame. Yeah. We hope to get more of Brother Horace joining us. And we believe, conversing or having a conversation on philosophy with some seniors in the room becomes very hard for young people, but the group of Brother Horace makes it easier for them to start engaging this conversation as someone else. And that's the only way we can grow, when you have this conversation together. So thank you very much. Brother Ifo, I will now ask you to share your thinking as you also maybe come in. Brother Ifo?
Yes. I initially put up my hand for something and it has completely wiped out of my head. So I will just reflect on the text. There is a binary nature to the. Oh, it has come back to me. Bell hooks described the system as patriarchal. What was it?
Sorry, did you say bell hooks?
Yes.
Wow. That is amazing.
She described it as like a patriarchal, colonial patriarchal capitalism or something like that. I can look it up later. And so she talked about how there's an intersection of the capitalism, the global colonialist, and also patriarchy, how the three of them worked together to enforce the system of the racial caste system, because it's not one or the other, it is all of the above. That's why I usually put up my hand. Now back to the text, you can see that there's this delusion of duality that is embedded within the colonial ideology, whether from Europe or from the Arab world. And I say it's a delusion because it's not real. So there's a lot of things in the world that are interconnected. And if you look at a lot of our languages and our cultures, you would see very, very elegant ways in which you can describe interconnectedness. You have things like Ubuntu, you have principles like Sankofa, all those things we have words for. But within all the colonial languages, including the colonial language of Arabia, they don't have those things. They have either or thinking. And either or thinking prevents you from actually seeing the world as it is, because the real world is interconnected. And the either or thinking leads people to believe that they need to be either 100% good or 100% bad, or in their case, they need domination, and for domination, you need someone else to be subjugated. Whereas if you look at a lot of our indigenous thinking, it is about interconnectedness. It's about Ubuntu. It's about sharing. It's about caring. It's about socialism in a communal way. And that is an alien concept to most of Europe. Even when Marx was describing it, it was still limited by the colonial dual lens. So I think when we start to recognize the deficiencies in the huge deficiencies within that thinking, we will start to remember who we are. And as the sister said, someone said that we need to know who we are. I don't think we need to know who they are. The reason why I say that is because we've been given too much information about who they are through our religion, through our schools, through TV, through internet, through everything. So we are overloaded beyond PhD level of understanding of the colonial ways than our ways. Once we are enough, we don't need anything else. Once you understand who you are and who we are, it becomes very, very difficult for them to shake us. We don't need to know anything about them. We just need to know about ourselves. Also, fundamentally, in 800 years, they haven't changed anything. So they're not doing anything new. It's the same playbook. It's the same divide and conquer. It's the same lie to you and tell you that you're inferior. Well, everything that you do, they tell you is wrong. And then 5-10 years later, they have patented it and now they're selling it as the new best thing. So it's all about theft. And once we realize that, then we'll stop trying to figure out how to be, I would use the word inferior thinkers, because binary thinking is inferior. And we'll become quantum thinkers like our ancestors. I yield. Thank
you. But brother Ifo, you have a point, but you see, I would put it to you that we haven't figured it out yet. You see, because the entire continent of Africa is under neocolonialism as we speak. Now, if we have figured out the solution to the problem, and yet we have not solved the problem, have we?
I have an answer for you.
Yeah, so can we say, can I say that I am feeding my family when my family is hungry? Can I say, oh, I know how to bring food to the house and feed my family? It's just, this is a mundane example, by the way. Oh, and then I can feed my family, and yet your family is hungry.
I was not saying that we have collectively all figured it out. I'm saying that our ancestors have laid down brilliant plans. And before we were invaded, nobody was hungry. So they say the definition of insanity is doing something different and expecting a different result. So that's why Sankofa is there, for us to go back and bring that wisdom forward. Now, knowing something, they say to know and not to do is not to know. For example, if someone is deeply addicted to cocaine or alcohol, they can know that they need to quit, but that's not enough for them to quit. There's something about their essence that still tells them that they need it. Most of our people, and most of the people on the planet who've been colonized, are either addicted to white supremacist ideology or Arab supremacist ideology. So because it's an addiction, it needs healing. It's not just knowing on an intellectual sort of level, but there's a deep need for spiritual healing. And that spiritual healing comes from actually knowing who you are. I often tell people that it is like you have back in high school, if you have the most beautiful girl in your school, and you also have the most handsome guy in the school, handsome, brilliant, every positive quality they have. If from kindergarten till the time that they are 16, everybody in the community tells them that they are ugly and that they are stupid and they have no wisdom, why aren't they like the other children, blah, 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 blah. Don't be surprised if by age 21, those children that were testing as genius level as 2 years old now start doing weird things. It is because of the programming. So we need to go back and reprogram our children, remind them of their brilliance, remind them not just of their brilliance individual, but also their brilliance collectively and the brilliance and wisdom of the ancestors. Because right now, our children are at the deficit. The only thing they know about themselves is what is not good. The average African, whether that be African on the continent of Africa or African outside of Africa, can tell you everything that is wrong with African or Black society. They cannot tell you anything that is good. And when people like me talk about what is good, they will challenge it with the fervor of a KKK member. Meanwhile, the people who haven't even left Africa will be telling you about how wonderful Europe is and how they can't wait to be there. Blah, blah. Like, this is nonsense. The average white person in Europe is suffering and wants to get out. So we are trying to go into nonsense. So I'm not saying that. I'm saying that if we look at, for example, if we look at the All-African People Revolutionary Party, there's a blueprint for what to do. If we look at Gaddafi's Green Book, there's a blueprint for what to do. So it's not knowing what to do is not the problem. It is that we fundamentally do not believe collectively in our own innate greatness, and we don't believe fundamentally that we are good enough. Like that youth that has been told that they are ugly and useless and whatever, they will come up to people that have less skills than them, and they will defer to the people with less skill because they believe it. So we need to believe in who we are. But before it's like falling in love. Before you can truly fall in love with somebody else, you have to know who you are, and then you have to know who that so-called other is. Because you can't say you love someone and then I ask you what is their favorite food or what do they love to do, what inspires them, and you say you don't know. Then you don't know. How many African children can tell us what is good about Africa, what our ancestors loved, and what are the principles that our ancestors lived by? They will tell you about Greek. They will tell you about the Arab world, or some of them now will be telling you about things from China. But can they tell you about what is happening in their village? Can they tell you about the person in the village that didn't go to colonial school, but when people don't have money, they can come and see them and the person will cure them of whatever they have? Is that not wisdom? But we don't see that because that person doesn't have a PhD or didn't go to medical school. But the person is healing people for free with the herbs that are around them. Is that not genius? But we don't recognize it until somebody from San Francisco comes and patents the same thing that our ancestor was using, sells us a distilled version that is not even half as good, and then we are like, go and pay money to buy it. It's nonsense.
Yeah. So if I may add to what you've just said, so the crux of the issue is this: yes, it's not about individual brilliance. It's not about whether one person in 10, as you said, understands it all and knows himself in and out and knows his enemy to the extent that he doesn't need to know even more about his enemy. Yeah. So it's about the collectivity, because And that is a point about conscientism. Conscientism is telling us that we need to forge a collective philosophical position, because any chain is as weak as the weakest point. So it's about a collective philosophical position that we can use as the spear and the spear and the other thing that you use when you go to war. Yeah. So that is the point. That is why we are doing the collective study, so that I can learn from you. You can learn from Brother Pigeon. I can learn from Brother Menzi. I can learn from Sister Ida, from Sister Portia, and then collectively, as we share our thinking, our experiences, and with respect to the philosophical position, then we forge a common spear that we can use to fight the enemy. Because you are right, unless Africa collectively as a nation defeats the enemy, one president out of 55 is not going to achieve much. Like Magufuli, they will just kill him. Nkrumah, he was alone. He told them, and they weren't listening. You know, it was 10 years later after he died that our brother in Tanzania said, "Oh, Nkrumah was telling us we didn't understand," and etc., etc., etc. So yeah, you are right. So that is why we are here. The point of conscientism, an African philosophy, is for us to arm ourselves collectively. So I'm endorsing what you're saying, Brother Ifo. Thank you. But bringing in the collective aspect. Thank you. Back to you, Chair.
Thank you, Brother Coming, for coming in. Sister Tapua, please go ahead.
Thank you very much. I think I'm just going to give a follow on the comments that have been made just now, because I went to a boarding school, and our boarding school was structured in houses, and we had sporting houses, and we had favor even within those houses, that if you belong to a particular house, you had these characteristics. And it spurred some of us on. In the region where I come from, in Manicaland, you have different types of schools. And people knew that if you went to this particular school, you kind of carried an aura about you. And I think we need to start doing that. Start to really positively pass on to our kids and ourselves the feeling that we are the people, we are important, we can contribute, and start singing our own praises. Because when you look closely at how America positively hypes itself, you wouldn't think there's anything wrong going on there. And I think we really, really, really need to make a positive move and say to ourselves and sing our own song. We've got to sing our own song, and so that everybody feels positive about the direction that we're going. Thank you.
Yeah, Sister Portia, if I may just add, Chair, if I would just add something to what Sister Portia said. Do we realize that? Yes. Do we realize
Sister
that?
Tapua.
Yes, I want to add something to Sister Tapua. Thank you. So what Sister Tapua just said, that do we realize that they say that what is unique about America is that every nation lives in America. But what about Africa? Every nation also lives in Africa. Think about it. So what have they achieved that we can't achieve? What?
Thank you, Brother Kwame.
Yeah, we have to brand ourselves differently. Sorry about that. Yeah, it's the branding.
Yes, Brother Coco, Are you now in a position to share your thinking? I think I've gone round. If you're not able, just let me know as well.
Right.
Okay, Brother Kwame, you can come in and share your thinking.
Yeah, no, you share yours first, as you have been sharing. And you've heard a lot. So you share yours and then I'll share mine. Thank
Now, what I'll say is then the implication of the both. The implication of Cartesian duality and the implication of Occam razor that Nkrumah is pushing as was like in the simplest term that Brother Philip was saying, the implication of that animals don't think or don't have soul or the rest. And it's very interesting the use of the term animals or the comparison of animals here. Because to the West, animal might not mean only the dog and the cow and the rest. Some of us were perceived to be animals by them sometimes back. But that separation is very crucial in the argument they are trying to push for us to see. And the question will be then why Nkrumah is dwelling much on this animal and this Cartesian duality by Descartes. Especially now that this philosophy is actually for decolonization. How do that then sit with the work or the purpose for decolonization of Africa? And I think it is because my brother Kwame has indicated this, that probably this was then the philosophy behind their actions, how they then approach the continent and how they then treated us, and maybe the basis of also so-called neocolonialism. Because if you believe then or accept or agree that both animals and human beings have both the ability of self-motion, thinking, and consciousness, then you're the same. And this will extend the argument not only to all human beings coming from the same matter, but probably the argument that all then beings come from the same matter. So does it mean that only one human being is better than the animal? Or does it mean, for example, you will say, okay, the life of animal doesn't matter. So you can kill animal as you want, but you can't probably, you take the different direction when it comes to human beings. So I think that implication, then we take it to the decolonization, is that we must decolonize that thinking. There's no any being that is less being. There's no any being that is unconscious or doesn't have the ability of that critical thinking. And there's no any human being or a group of people that need some tapping to some supernatural somebody outside there who can then push us as a continent. So that's what I'm trying to read to be the purpose of Nkrumah trying to push that we use an Occam's razor against the Cartesian duality. Because then to us, matter and spirit and mind are one and the same thing. They're not two different entities in this case, but they either emerge from categorical conversion or they emerge in another thing, but not seeing them that one is capable of thinking or soul or whatever, one is mechanical. That's what I'm trying to reform. So that's my thinking.
Yeah, so if I may just continue from you with my sharing my thinking as well, which is that so Brother Horace raised a question, you've also then answered it partly, which is, so what is Nkrumah's purpose in bringing this this Cartesian position to our attention? So what is it that Descartes is doing? Or what did he do? Well, as we read, he said that when humans act, when they take any action, they act because they are thinking. Not only that, that they have a language that they can use to describe their action. So they have a language, whereas animals don't have a language. Not only that when the human acts, the human has a will or purpose, intention, which Brother Philip has dismantled. So Descartes publicly and in his books, he's saying these things, arguing that we can explain animal behavior mechanically or mechanistically, if you like, but we can explain human behavior through language and purpose. And so what is he doing there? He has reduced animals completely to matter. He's basically saying that we can explain the behavior of animals, whether they have purpose, whether the dog is running away from you because you keep beating it, whatever it is, we can explain all that behavior mechanistically or mechanically. And yet, when the same man is also running away from another man, just like the dog, because that man also running away is being beaten by someone, he said, oh, no, hold on, no. He is not running away mechanically. He's running away because he can think, because he has intention, etc., etc. And Brother Philip here has said, but that cannot be. That cannot be. So what is he telling us? So he's telling us that Descartes is using double standards. He is not using the same explanatory principle to explain the two phenomena. And this is where Occam's razor comes in, because when you use a razor, you cut things. You use razor to cut things. So what he's done, he's cut off the mental or spiritual, if you like, aspect of animals. He's cut them off. But when it came to human beings, he did not do that. The question is, do we think that Descartes has a justifiable basis to do that? And from what I have heard from all of you, including Brother Philip, who started for us, Descartes has no justifiable basis to do that. Indeed, when they look into Descartes' private letters to other philosophers, he conceded that he did not have the basis to do that. So in other words, he was just making it up. And I think one of us, I don't remember who, was saying, what is his qualification? What is his expertise in animal science to be able to? I think it's Brother Philip that was saying that. What is his expertise in animal science to be making such categorical statements? In fact, such statements as Sieve is making scientific statements. So what does this all mean for us in terms of motion? Or before that, what does it all mean for us in terms of when we explain when we explain things? Well, if you are saying that animals don't have mind, and you are happy to cut off the spirit to excise, that is to cut it off with the scissors, cut off the spiritual dimension of animals, then Nkrumah is saying also that why don't you go further and do the same for the universe as a whole? Why can't you then explain that the universe in which we live is as it is, and that it is what it is? It has powers of self-motion. It has its own purposes. When the earth is rotating around the sun, it's not because it cares about us. Maybe not. It's just what it wants to do. We find meaning in that. Okay. But the Earth is not rotating and rotating on its axis and rotating around the sun because the Earth loves us so much, you could argue. So Nkrumah is saying that, well, why don't you go further? If you are going to cut off the spiritual aspect of the animal, and if all humans are also social animals, as Brother Philip also said, then it means that we can go all the way and say that actually, in order to explain behavior, you can just use matter. In other words, matter can be primary and explain everything. You don't need spirit to explain matter. Yeah. So if Descartes is saying that he doesn't need spirit to explain matter, then Descartes is agreeing that you can explain material manifestations without recourse to spirit or ideas. So Nkrumah is saying that actually what Descartes has done, without intending to do so, is to give us grounds for us arguing that actually we can explain the universe on the basis of material forces. So if that is so, then it means also that you can explain human behavior on the basis of matter. And if we use the field of economics, as Sister Portia has continued to draw our attention to, we can explain the behavior of Africans within the racist capitalist system by looking at the system itself and how it is materially organized. So you can forecast how Africans will behave, yeah, because the system is organized in a way that is racist, so it will have racist consequences. Yeah. So in other words, it doesn't really matter what you are thinking as an individual. Once you are in that system, the system will determine your consciousness and how you are thinking. And you may think that your thinking is yours, but actually your thinking is racist without even you realizing that your thinking is so. So to answer about the Horus's question, Nkrumah is then laying the ground for us to see that without intending it, the philosophers have actually demolished themselves and provided us the basis to explain our material circumstances using material explanations. It doesn't mean that everything is physical. Because remember, when we say matter, we don't mean just things that can be seen or heard or touched. Yeah, it includes the unseen, the unheard, the untouched. Yeah, and the and so on and so forth. You know, it includes all dimensions of matter. Yeah. So then that brings us to our key question. And what is that question? Well, we started this chapter with practice and thought, didn't we? Yeah, that conscientism is a philosophy of action. And Brother Ifo has told us, actually, look, we are not acting the way we should. You know, we say we know, but the action that we are taking does not evidence that we know what we are doing. You know, we know in maybe in the head, but in action, we are not showing that we know. In other words, our action is not reflecting thought, because practice and thought must go together. Yeah, practice without thought is what? Is it empty or ineffective? And the thought without practice is, you know, is ineffective. So the two have to go together. So then this brings into purview, into perspective where we started from, which is what? Which is that we are required to act, to be men and women of practice, which is called praxis, yeah, and not just blind action, yeah, but purposeful action, thoughtful action, etc., etc. So what does that mean for us? It means that, going by the paragraph, it means that logically we must look for explanations of our situation in our material and concrete circumstances, even including what and how we are thinking. We should look for the causes, the primary causes in our material circumstances. And if you apply that to Africa, then could it just be that all the suffering we are suffering is not because of many, many causes, but there's just one simple cause. And that cause is that our material wealth, yeah, let me just use that, our material wealth, yeah, by which I mean our gold, diamond, cocoa, coffee, beans, whatever, yeah, our material wealth are being siphoned off. We don't have enough to feed ourselves, to build our continent, to build our education, to build beautiful homes for ourselves, because materially that resource is being siphoned off by criminals and thieves and brigands and vagabonds and all kinds of nefarious human beings, some of whom look like us. Could it be that that is a material cause, rather than us saying it's to do with God, it's to do with some spirit somewhere, etc., etc.? Yeah. Please, I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm saying, could it be? So I'm throwing that back to us. I think I'll pause there. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Brother Kwame, for that extensive input, Brother Kwame. Sister Amma, we recognize your presence and also wish you some quick recovery in whatever condition you are, and I hope you'll feel better soon, sister. Brother Kwako, please come in.
I raised my hand before Brother Kwame started. Now that he has gone to town with this, I don't even know where to start or where to end.
No.
But
Brother Koko, just go ahead.
greetings, all of you.
Brother Koko is I call him our rock of ages when it comes to solidity.
Thank you, my brother. Thank you all, and I greet you in the revolutionary greetings, comrades, and recognize your presence tonight. Funny enough, today I was working with a video which was looking at loneliness, and in that video, the author raises something quite revealing, because she says loneliness is not a result of the life in which we live in. It's not a what you call a result or a byproduct. It's actually meant to be part of the life in which we live in. And now that we have been talking about binary, duality, all of these things, it's clear that there is a division in all of these things all the time. There is a division. There is an urban area versus a rural area. There is an educated someone versus an uneducated someone. There's a civilized a mind versus an uncivilized mind. And then there's matter versus mind, according to Descartes. So, as you can see, it's clear what he's trying to do. He's trying to continue to substantiate their position as, in quotes, the superior ones. Then again, we have superior versus inferior. All right. And I think most of the members where I've been listening, they went to town on the matter of education. with education, the education we have received, especially from the West, it also follows that pattern. You either pass or you fail. There is no one else who doesn't go anywhere in between. And those who don't pass in most of the African education which we went to, they ended up being nothing in most of the cases. And some of those people were brilliant people, brilliant individuals. But the system in which we have been thrust into is meant to cut us up into two. You are either good or you're not good. You are either, good or bad. And that is, if you look at the movie industry, there is that. There is a good guy and there's a bad guy. This is the storyline. It's meant to divide people, meant to divide people, meant to divide now even animals and human beings. It cuts that interconnectedness that we had with nature as Africans, cuts it up and make Africans think, okay, maybe if we are not as superior as those colonizers, then maybe we are better than the animals. Maybe they are creating an area for us. And then we fall into that trap of Eurocentric lenses when looking at things. But that is not how it's supposed to be. We need to realize that even in mind, there are different areas, there are different skills. Every child you meet, they have their own skills, exceptional skills. Once you find those skills, you can help the child be the best that they are at. But the situation that they are dealing with here was that you either have to be good or bad, and then that's it. It stops there. Nothing, no development, no nothing. That is how the system is meant to be. And Brother Kwame and Brother Ife were talking about that consciousness, the collective consciousness. And it's important to realize that as long as only a few of us are awakened, and the majority of us, I don't want to call that non-awakened. Majority of us are still thinking in the Euro lens or Euro way of doing things. It's the best, it's what they want. They don't want everybody suddenly coming together and thinking from the same direction, from the same space, from the same Afrocentric way of doing things, because that way it threatens their hegemony. This is how it is. It's meant for us to continue to stay where we are and not go anywhere else. To close off, where I work, we have majority of the Africans and the Asians. They are very highly educated people with lots and lots of degrees, PhDs and all. But when you look at them, majority of them, they occupy entry roles. Because again, we have been taught you're not good enough. You go and get more. They go and get more degrees. But after that, what do the degrees give them? Nothing. Because that again is that situation where you have to know your place in society. And we refuse to accept that, along with Dr. Nkrumah. Thank you for this.
Thank you, Brother Coco, for that. Brother, if I see you on this app, are you sharing further?
Yes, I am. As usual, I'm cooking and eating, but it's all good. So I was thinking of something as simple as how we house ourselves and the kind of homes that we collectively aspire to live in. Most people who live in Africa who have money do not build African homes in Africa. They build alien homes in Africa. And as a result of that, we are wasting a lot of our resources because we are building with things that are not meant for the landscape that we're in. So you build houses that are super tight, similar to what you would have in a colder climate in up north in Europe or up north in Russia, up north somewhere else. Then you have to invest a whole lot of money to try to keep the house cool. Whereas if you look at indigenous engineering, you see ways in which you can build a home, have it facing the have it facing away from the sun so that you don't have the sun coming in and heating it all up. You can also build with mud as opposed to concrete, which actually lasts longer. And then the mud acts as a natural heat sink so that it sucks in the heat from the sun during the day and then releases that slowly in the night. So it keeps you cool. There's also ways to build the ceiling of your house in ways in which you have natural airflow. Those are ways that our ancestors did things. Now, if you come to Canada, go to Europe, they're all talking about earth homes, amazing technology. Those are things our ancestors were doing thousands and thousands of years ago. But the average person back home is striving to have a house that looks like something else, but not something that is built in nature. So we are wasting so much of our resources to cool down a house that we wouldn't have had to spend a dime on if we had actually built it the way our ancestors did. So there's a lack of respect for ourselves, which is costing us money. And that money is also costing us time. There are better things that we could be doing with our time, trying to figure out where to get petrol from. And not only that, if you don't have to use all this energy to cool your home, you don't have to spend as much money on not just the money, but also the environment that we are destroying, which is making the world warmer by adopting the building tradition of aliens, not the building tradition of our ancestors. Just wanted to share that as one simple example of something that is concrete that we can do collectively as we try to build or talk to people who are looking to build. Ask them, are you building in an indigenous sustainable way? And it makes sense. I yield my.
Thank you. Back to you, Brother Kwame.
Yeah, thank you. Let me share the plan for this weekend. Yeah. Yeah, so yeah, no, brother Ifo, yeah, made a good point about housing. We have to look at the technologies that we are using to build. My friend Professor Awuno, who died in Kenya some years ago when the terrorists, I think the Somalian terrorists, if I remember, stormed some shopping mall and shot people, and Professor Awuno was one of them. He died in Kenya. His body was brought back to Ghana, and we were all in shock. His house is built using brick, red brick. He didn't build his house using cement and block. So yeah, so what brother Ifo is saying is real. Our technologists, our scientists must look into this, solve African problems. Yeah, Pigeon, I've shared the program for the weekend. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, comrades, for those who participated, those who shared their thinking, those who took time to be here. This weekend, we are looking at the markets and the value chains. So that's what we'll be looking at in the angle of economics. So anybody who is able to do a presentation, please do a presentation for us. All our recordings are already on our YouTube channel. And next Monday, we continue the Pan-African Reading Club. Then the Thursday we go ahead with where we've left. Then next Saturday, we get to integrated transport and energy system. But this Saturday, we start the continental markets and value chains. That's what I have to say for now. I don't have any other thing to add, unless Brother Kwame have something else to say.
No, just to say thank you to all you wonderful people for coming. Sister Ama, Brother Philip, Brother Ifo, Brother Coco, Sister Tapua,
Brother Horace, Sister Portia, Sister Ida, Brother Pigeon, I forgot to change my name today. It should have been the Kwame Nkrumah Trust. But anyway, yeah, so no, thank you all for coming. We appreciate you. The ancestors appreciate you. Africans appreciate you. Because believe it or not, people go and they watch and listen to these recordings. I think Brother Pigeon at some point will share more analytics on what is going on. So people are listening. We are hoping to be able to break some of our, because some of our classes are almost 2 hours. So we are hoping to get more IT guys or social media experts on board who will help us break 2 hours down to 120 minutes. Can you imagine 120 minutes? Wow. For just one video or one of our recording, just 1 minute is 120. Wow. So you can imagine what will be coming out of us in terms of Instagram and TikTok, etc. So thank you very much. Thank you very much. For me personally, I appreciate you all. Appreciate you all so much. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Bye for now. Say bye.
Thank you all. Good night. Good night.
Night.
Thank you. I
Thank
appreciate
you.
you all
Bye.
as well.
Brother Pidgey, you need to stop the recording first. Yeah.